Hey, Money Masters. Welcome back. This is Amber, and I'm with
Pam.
and we are here for another Mommy and Me Money Chat. So, in last week's Mommy and Me Money Chat, my mom started to get into a topic that was better suited for part two of our previous video. So, I'm really excited for her to talk about that because this topic is like really important as it relates to the way that I have navigated my finances over the years. So, the last video you started to talk about being comfortable with a salary. So, go ahead. Don't be comfortable.
Yeah, no, this dynamic is well. Okay, I was speaking on paychecks, salaries, and being comfortable with them. When you are employed and you make a certain amount of money, as I did when I first started my accounting career, it was pretty much right out of high school as a summer job. And I started making money once I, got my paychecks and um, started really looking at the situation, the financial situation I had. I was okay with what I was making then, but once I had a child, that situation changed. My income didn't change right away, so I had to look at what I could do to increase that amount of money. And what I saw that was something that I often did. I worked for the county at that time. Every week they would put out jobs or things that you could do, to get promotions or a new job, new position. So I looked within my department to see what I could do to increase my salary. So I would take numerous tests. Back then they gave you like a lot of exams you had to take back then in order to get promotions. So for instance, if you could go from a clerk one to a clerk two, and you progress slowly upward. So I couldn't be in the position that I was in. I knew I needed more money, at that time, and even being a single parent, that I needed more of an income. So I was constantly looking, not being comfortable with what I had because my needs were greater. And that's very important that you have to look at those needs that you do have and say, is this job enough for me? Is this enough for my family? What else can I do to get, more money, more income coming in? So that's why it's very important not to settle. Some people get jobs and they settle, even though I was in the same office, I got several promotions within that office. I mean, from the time I started up to the time I left, I was still, being able to get promotions or doing whatever was necessary for me to do that.
You got your degree.
And I got my, went to school and got my degree, and that helped.
Which degree?
My bachelor's degree in public administration.
We graduated the same year, one month apart.
Yes, because there was a delay due to going to college. I started, and after I had Amber, I stopped, and it took about 20 years or more. I went to first started at Miami-Dade, then went to Barry University where I completed my bachelor's degree. And so all of that required money. Had I not had some of that money, I would probably not have been able to do certain things. I had to take student loans out, and like we covered before, paid those loans back, paid in full. So it's important not to stay at a certain level. You might be comfortable, you might love that job, but if you look around at unless you're budgeting properly, if you stay in that one spot and you don't allow yourself to grow so that your surroundings can grow, you might find yourself in a bad spot.
Great advice. And I know that, for some, the thing that I struggle with Control Your Money is I want to help everybody. But the reality is that some people may be retired, so how can you really use the information that we're given But there are ways to get other sources of income even in retirement. You know, it depends on a lot of factors, your physical ability, your mobility, you know, in terms of being able to get around, or, you know, there's remote work for at home people. So there's a lot of factors related to that. You know, I know that this information can really help people that are still in of working age, in are employed or looking for employment, you know. But definitely also share this information with your kids, please, because they need to hear it. You know, that this can give them a leg up as they get prepared to enter the workforce. But also, I really wanted her, I got excited when she started talking about that, because that is what really changed the game for me in terms of my finances. I watched my mom pursue growth. She didn't just sit and hope for promotion or hope for growth at work. She actively pursued it. Like I said, we graduated from college a month apart in the same year, and I was still so proud, like blown away, because she never gave up her dream of improving herself through education. So when I was working, and as I continue to work, you know, I know that there is more. One, there is more, and two, you can be your own advocate for more. You can create more for yourself by pursuing growth opportunities. And that really is a game changer for your finances, point blank in the period. You will always have certain bills and responsibilities financially. You can always strive to get something that meets those needs, but there are opportunities to get above the needs, to make more than what you actually need to function and survive. And in those opportunities is where you really transform your finances. So I'm very glad that I had the role model that I did, and was able to go through her journey with her and experience her, literally experience her pushing and advocating for herself in terms of growth. You know, we talk all the time, so there's a lot of situations that we discussed, and I got to get her insight, I got to get her feelings about things, so that when it was my turn, you know, that I had that perspective to motivate me and push me to pursue more. So,
and you have to have faith. Faith is in our lives.
Yeah.
Faith is everything.
Yeah.
Everything. God is there to help guide you. If it had not been for God, we wouldn't, and our faith in God, our lives would have probably been totally different, because we can both vouch that, for instances, or show you, you know, explain things of how faith really led the way to get us where we are today.
Absolutely.
And thank God for that.
Thank God for that. And I want anybody that's listening to understand that God is always working for you. Always. It does not matter what because we're not gonna get.
Yeah.
It don't matter what it look like. God is always working on your behalf.
And how much time it takes,
and
but it will come.
All right. Okay.
Because we're gonna shout it.
Yeah, in a second, honey. All right. Until next time.
Control your money.
Bye.